Yeah, you've been working hard, really hard. New goals, new habits, new strategies. Maybe you've got a new coach. Maybe a new morning routine. Maybe you even bought the journal this time. And yet, somehow, something keeps pulling you back to the same place. Same ceiling, same hesitation, same version of the outcome, and you can't figure out why. Well, here's the deal, my friend. Here's what you need to know today. You can change everything on the outside and still be limited by the story that you're carrying on the inside, because you cannot outrun a small identity. Welcome to MiNDSHiFT Monday, where we don't just talk motivation, we train. Boom, light perspective. I'm Robert Kennedy III, RK3, that's me, and today we're opening up a brand new theme for the month: expansion. Yeah, and I need you to hear me clearly right now. This episode is not for the person who hasn't started yet. This is for the person who has started, who is working, who is showing up, and who still keeps hitting the same invisible wall. This one's for the builders, the grinders, the people who are doing everything right on paper and still feel like something is quietly holding them back. If it's you, stay right here. We're about to name this thing. TL Speaks, what's going on? My friend, Carrie Joe Little, how you doing? So glad that you're here. Twyla Grigsby, so glad that you're in the space, in the place, looking at my face. So glad that you're here. Dean Herbert, so glad that you're here. Don Kirk, Danny Lewis, so glad that y'all are here this morning. Listen, y'all, hey, real quick before we get to the show, after the show, you know how we do it. We are going live on Zoom, so make sure that you join me for the MiNDSHiFT Monday after show. So head over to MiNDSHiFTmonday.com/Zoom. That's where we get personal. We slow this down and we apply this in real time. All right, MiNDSHiFTmonday.com/Zoom. If you want to know when we're going live, text live to 240-557-8679. And then lastly, I want you to join us in the Amplified Voice community. Head on over to amplifiedvoicehq.com and choose community. We are starting this month to release some new thoughts, some new ideas, some new offers. Our programs there first. Get in early. In fact, we got a challenge coming up next month that I want to tell you about soon. All right, let's do this. Let's get into this. I want you to think about a sprinter who trains for years, gets faster, gets stronger, refines their techniques, and every single race, they're running in the wrong lane. That's what happens when your strategy outpaces your identity. You get better at running, but you're still running the wrong race. Come on. Let's talk about it today. Come on, let's do this thing. Oh yeah. I got too many things on my desk. All right, y'all. Let's jump on into the show. All right. Let's do this thing. Hey, before we go deeper, I want to hear from y'all on a scale of 1 to 10. How aligned does your current identity feel with the business or the life that you're building? 1 to 10. Come on, put that in the chat for me. 1 to 10. Hey, Kendra Q. Dodd, Lou Matthews Live. So glad that you all are here. C. Marie B, Coach AD TV. So glad that you're here. Put it in the chat for me. On a scale of 1 to 10, how aligned does your current identity feel with what you're building? Some of you are thinking about this hard. You're like, oh my gosh, Robert's asking hard questions this morning. Coach AD says 6. All right. Junaid, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you this morning. Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, listen, We're talking identity today. How aligned does your current life, or how aligned does your current identity feel with the life that you're trying to build? I should have explained this. For 1 being, I feel like I'm playing a character. 10 being, I feel completely like myself in every room that I walk into. All right, drop your number. All right, the music is loud, says Junaid. Thank you, Junaid. I feel like I love it. Thank you. 8. Udine says 6. TL Speak says 6, says 9. Okay. I see Twala says 6. Dr. Erica Taylor says 10. Dr. Erica Taylor's like, listen, I'm there. I Michelle Obama this thing. I'm a 10. I have become. I love it. I love it. All right. So, hey, I love these real responses. So glad that y'all are having this conversation with me this morning. Let's do this thing. Let's talk about this a little bit. So we're talking today a little bit about identity versus reality, or identity versus what's going on. I remember growing up in the 80s as a kid. Yes, that's right. I am 80s old. Gen Xer. Yes. Gen Xers in the building. Come on. Gen Xers, raise your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. You know how we do. Yes, Gen Xers. I'm 80s old. Anyhow, let's keep going. You're focused on the wrong thing. So growing up in the 80s, I remember in New York City, this is where I grew up. I grew up in the Bronx. I remember this man winning the lottery. Actually, there were 2 of them. There were 2 of them that won the lottery at about the same time. But I remember the name of one of them. His name was Curtis Sharp. And he had this name that really resonated with how he showed up. He won the New York State Lottery, $5 million. And in the 80s, that was a lot of money. That was a lot of money. Yeah, $5 million. Curtis Sharp showed up in the suits and the fedoras, and he showed up to press conferences with his girlfriend on one side and his wife on the other side. No, I'm being for real. I'm making it a little bit more salacious than it is. It was his ex-wife. Yeah, but still, he took pictures with these people. He took pictures, right? And he showed up. He had the hat, the fedora. They had these commercials with this guy, and he would be riding around the city in a limo with the sunroof retracted, and he'd be standing up, showing his, waving his hands like, I'm rich. And he'd be saying all that stuff. So they had all of these great commercials. And I don't remember seeing any commercials after that with people who were with lottery winners, but I remember these. Lou Eisenberg, that was the other guy's name, Lou Eisenberg. So anyway, they're doing these commercials and they're driving around the city and showing up in limos and furs and all sorts of stuff. The rich life. Several years later, he was out of money. He had burned through the entire $5 million. Coach AD says winning the lottery could take my 6 to a 10. Yeah. But guess what? It's not just about the lottery. It's not just about the lottery winners, right? Many athletes and many people who suddenly come into a lot of money, this happens to them. Sorry, I'm running around. Got a bunch of stuff on my desk. I'm distracted a little bit this morning. Come on, get attracted, Robert. Not distracted, get attracted. How about that? All right. So many lottery winners and athletes, they suddenly come into a lot of money, and they go through this process of redefining some stuff, right? Now they have all this money, a physical change. But somewhere down deep, they revert to their identity, what they think of themselves. And because that physical change, the money, didn't change their identity, they default back to the identity, what they think of themselves, right? Curtis, at that point, was rich in dollars. And based on what we saw for a while, he looked like it. But his identity baseline was something else. And we always come back to our identity baseline unless we do something about it. We always come back to our identity baseline unless we do something about it. For some of us, it shows up as self-sabotage. Yeah, and I'm talking to me. I'm not coming for anybody this morning. I'm talking to me. If you know what I'm talking about, type me in the chat. If your identity shows up different than what you're trying to do, I'm talking to me. I've hired business coaches because I thought they were going to give me the secret to growing a huge business. And then that business ended up failing because my identity baseline. My identity baseline. What are we talking about? Well, here's the deal. I can give you $5 million. Dr. Erica Taylor is on here. Dr. Erica Taylor and I met in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. Speaking of Goldman Sachs, Sugar Bob. Oh my God, so glad you're here, Sugar Bob. Sugar Bob's Finest Kind. Y'all go check out what Sugar Bob does. Sugar Bob's Finest Syrups. Yeah. So you can have a lot of money. I've had business owners that have fallen into a $5 million or a $10 million contract. They subcontract to a prime contractor who's got a $100 million contract, and they just fall into $5 million contract. And then guess what happens? Because they are running a $5 million contract with a $5,000 mentality, it doesn't work. They fall back to their identity. I've seen businesses blow up, not because they didn't have enough people, not because they didn't have the expertise, but because the identity of the owner, the identity of the person that now has the resource is unable or hasn't shifted or hasn't become the identity needed to utilize the greater resource. Let me ask you this. Where in your life are you working hard in a direction that you're secretly afraid to reach? I want you to sit with that for a moment. Where in your life are you working hard? Where in your life are you hustling? Where in your life are you grinding hard in a direction that you're secretly afraid to reach? Let me ask you this. Have you ever had this feeling like, oh my gosh, I've been working so hard. I've been working so hard. I've been hustling. I've been working so hard. I've been working hard. And yet I still feel like I'm at the same place. Ask yourself this. Am I attracted to the hustle, or have I become the person that it takes to reach the goal or the magnitude that I'm shooting for? Sit with it for a second. Yeah. If I'm being real and I'm being totally 100, I'm totally honest with myself. And this fluctuates. There are days where I have not become, or I have not reached the identity that I need in order to be the person or be the business or have the life that I desire. And that's something I'm working on. Something I'm working on. So I want you all to be in integrity and to just be 100 with yourselves this morning. Here's the truth. Your strategy will only take you as far as your identity allows. Your strategy is only going to take you as far as your identity allows. I want you to write that down, screenshot that, rewind or whatever, put it somewhere. Your strategy is only going to take you as far as your identity allows. And here's what so many people get wrong, right? Coach AD says constantly on a treadmill, don't mistake activity with achievement. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Here's what happens when growth stalls. We go looking for a better system. When our finances stall, we go looking for a better system, a better method, a better coach, a better plan. And sometimes that's the right move. I'm not telling you don't ever go looking for a coach. Don't ever look for a better system or a better plan. Sometimes that's the right move, but it's not the only move. A lot of the time, the system isn't the problem. The story is. The story that says people like me don't operate on that level. Let's take it to the business owners in the room right now. The business owners who want a 7-figure business, but are still operating at a 5-figure level, right? The people who say that I want to run a $10 million business, the people that say I want to run a $50 million business, but are still doing everything themselves. Their hands still got to be in everything. They're still controlling everything. They still got to do everything. They still got to grind and hustle and be involved in everything. I'll say it this way. It is impossible to run a 7 or 8-figure business with a 5-figure identity. It's impossible. It's impossible to effectively run an 8-figure business with a 5-figure identity. Let's take it out of business. It's impossible to have a successful marriage with a divorce identity. Right? So a lot of us are operating in this space where we have this goal, we've got this idea, but deep down our identity is still people like me don't operate at that level. Right? We've got the story that says I've never seen somebody from my town, my neighborhood, my background do that. The story internally that says, oh my gosh, who am I to want that? The story, the one that Robert struggles with sometimes, is, oh my gosh, I should be further along by now. Right? And these aren't conscious thoughts. You're not sitting around saying these things to yourself out loud. They live underneath. They operate like background software. They're running quietly. Background processes, shaping every decision that you make, every room that you walk into, every opportunity that you pursue or you let pass. Yeah, this is the operating system that a lot of us Jesse Marie says, it's impossible to have a successful marriage with a single person's identity. Yeah. Right? It's the operating system. It's the story that we've allowed to go unchecked, unupdated, or renewed in our background. I'm operating. I'll just say I've got this program that I use to run most of my shows. It's called Ecamm, right? It's how I'm able to change the scenes. It's how I'm able to do all of this stuff. And Ecamm just released this new update, Ecamm 4.5, that allows a lot of different things to happen. And here's the deal. I cannot operate Ecamm 4.5 on a 2010 Mac. Right? I cannot operate the stuff with the most bells and whistles, the stuff with the animations, the stuff with all of the stuff that makes my life look great, right? I cannot operate all of this stuff on a computer that wasn't built for it. Dan Sullivan talks about this in his book, 10x is easier than 2x, right? The idea that most people are not limited by their capability. They're limited by the version of themselves that they're willing to become. And so here's what the trap is for a lot of us. We think that this is a motivation problem. We think it's that we're not inspired enough. We think that our willpower isn't strong enough. It's not a motivation problem. It's an identity problem. It's a story problem. You don't need more hype. You don't need somebody to rah-rah in your ear. You need a new story. I need a new story about who I am or who I'm becoming. Oh, we're running out of time. Let's get moving. There's a well-documented phenomenon called the Einstellung effect. And it basically says this: the better that you get at solving problems a certain way, the harder it becomes to see a better solution when one exists. Right? Your expertise becomes your blind spot. You've been used to hustling. And so when the problem comes, you say, okay, I just need to hustle harder. I need to grind more. People who play chess experience this, right? You're used to making a certain move, or you're used to moving or putting your moves in a certain order. And so when you come up against a player that does something different, some players get a little bit stuck or they lose because they're used to winning or operating in a certain way. Surgeons experience this. Entrepreneurs experience this. The very identity that got you here, the hustle, the grind, the scrappy resourcefulness, that can also be the ceiling that keeps you from what's next. And that's not a flaw. It's a feature of how your brain works. Your mind is trying to protect you, but guess what? By defaulting to what has worked before. But expansion, which is what we're talking about this month, requires something that the brain doesn't naturally offer, and that is a willingness to release an identity that has served you in order to step into the one that's going to carry you further. So the question isn't whether you're capable of more. The question is whether you're willing to become the version of you that more requires. See, the ceiling that you keep hitting isn't made of circumstance. It's made of concept or self-concept. Your ceiling isn't made of circumstance. It's made of self-concept. So let's walk through this old belief. A lot of us think our old belief is that I need to work harder and the breakthrough will come if I just keep hustling or working harder. But let's shift that to a new belief. The breakthrough is waiting on the other side of a bigger identity, not a bigger effort. Right? Your old story, my results will change when my strategy changes. But your new story is my results change when I change the story about myself. That's the shift. That's the shift. Expansion isn't something you do. It's something that you become. Getting better is not something that you do. It's someone you become. All right, so let's look at our actions for this week. We like to, oh my gosh, we are running out of time. Okay, here's your actions for the week. And here's 3 moves that we want you to undertake this week. Number 1, audit the ceiling. I want you to think about the area of your life or your business where your growth keeps stalling. And I don't want you to look at the strategy. Don't look at what is it that you need to do differently. Look underneath that. Ask yourself honestly, is this a plan problem or is this a story problem? Ask yourself, what do I believe about myself around this thing or this area? What do I really believe? Go 7 levels deep. Ask yourself why you believe that thing. Okay? Look at a place where you're stuck. Number 2, I want you to finish the sentence. Finish the sentence. Grab a pen and write this down. And then complete without editing yourself. Here's what I want you to write. Someone like me doesn't. And some of you are going to fight against this. You're going to no, I don't have negative beliefs about myself. Listen, you are what we call a human being. Write this down. Someone like me doesn't. All right? Just whatever comes up. That's the actual identity that you're working with and what we need to shift. Okay, here's your last one. Borrow the identity. Some of us, and we fight against this because we're like, no, I'm a unicorn. I'm my own. Listen, if you are stuck, it means that you haven't become that version of you yet that you need to become. We all have work to do. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to borrow the identity. I want you to pick a person, real or historical, currently living or historical, who's already become the version of you that you're trying to grow into. Okay? And I'm not saying make comparison your friend here. I'm just saying choose someone. For the next 7 days, I want you to make one decision per day and ask this question: what would that person do here? We're not copying them. We're expanding what feels possible for you. So in my case, I might ask myself the question, what would Richard Branson do here? Right? Borrow the identity of someone else for just a moment. Someone that you look up to, someone that's where you envision yourself being. All right, we only got like a minute and a half here. Hey, y'all, listen, if this episode hit you, and I mean really, really hit you, and you want to talk about it further, the after show is where we go deeper. Yay, Monica, Diego, come on, join me on the after show. Kendra Q. Dodd, join me on the after show. Misty Campbell, C. Marie B., all y'all that are here in the audience. Yeah, join us on the after show where we go deeper. We're on Zoom right after this. No slides, no performance. Just real conversation about what this looks like in your life and in your work. All right, y'all. The link is MiNDSHiFT.com/Zoom. Come process this with us. That's what this community is for. I want to leave you with this question. Are you changing what you're doing, or are you changing who you're becoming? If you're feeling behind, you're not behind. If you're feeling broken, you're not broken. You're not missing some secret ingredient out here that everybody else has. You're simply running an older version of yourself still in the driver's seat. And the real work isn't about adding more to your calendar. It's about updating your story. You don't expand your life by doing more. You expand it by becoming more. Remember that a shifted mind creates a changed week, y'all. Ooh, yeah. Until next time, change your mind, change your life, change your story. I'll see you in the room on Zoom. Yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. Peace, y'all.